Let us now start with your courtroom procedures. Another important topic. Courtroom procedures we have done. What we will be doing is court powers of court. Here we will see what are the different types of court or different types of judges and their exclusive powers. Starting with your number 1, the lowest level of courts is your magisterial courts. Magisterial courts. The lowest level is your second class judicial magistrate. Then comes your first class judicial magistrate, and then at the topmost level in magisterial courts is your court of chief judicial magistrate. Chief judicial magistrate. First class judicial magistrate is also called metropolitan magistrate. Metropolitan magistrate in metros. All four metros we have metropolitan magistrates. Chief judicial magistrate is called as chief metropolitan magistrate in metro city. What are the powers of second class judicial magistrate? For fine, they have a power of 5,000 rupees. Maximum 5,000 rupees, and for imprisonment purpose, they can send a person to jail for a period of maximum 1 year. Okay. First class judicial magistrate has the power of how much fine? 10,000 rupees. 10,000 rupees. And what is the power for imprisonment? 3 years. And from your chief judicial magistrate, the fine power is unlimited amount of fine. So remember, unlimited fine can be done by your chief judicial magistrate level onwards. And for imprisonment purpose, he has the power of sending a person to jail for a period of maximum 7 years. After your magisterial courts, we have sessions court. Session court or session judge. Starting with your number 1 is assistant session court. Assistant session. So the courts below your assistant session is your chief judicial magistrate. If he has unlimited fine power, so all above courts above than CJM level will have the same powers for fine. Okay. But for imprisonment purpose, assistant session has the power of 10 years imprisonment. So remember 1, 3, 7, 10. Starting with second class judicial, then first class 3 years, chief judicial magistrate 7 years, assistant session 10 years. Above your assistant session lies your additional sessions court. Additional session court, in which the fine amount is unlimited, and this is the lowest level of court or judge who can pass death sentence. Death sentence can be given by additional session judge or court. All time repeat question. Minimum level of court or judge who can pass death sentence. Additional session. All the courts above additional session will have same powers. And what are the above levels? In the session court levels, you have your district courts or district judge. They will have same powers. After this lies your high courts. Highest court for a state is your high court. They will have similar powers. And Supreme Court is the highest court for nation. That is, highest court for India is Supreme Court. Okay. What is important to be remembered? Which is the minimum level of court who can pass death sentence? Additional session. Which is the minimum level of court which has unlimited fine power? Chief Judicial Magistrate. These two are very important. Always remember. And one very important thing regarding additional sessions judgment. If a additional session judge has passed death sentence to a person, the file will go to the High Court for confirmation. So this death sentence is to be confirmed by High Court judge. If the High Court judge says, okay, the judgment is well enough, it is to be maintained, that sentence will be given to the person. But what is important is confirmation is to be done. Then regarding death sentence, few important points. Death sentence is also called as capital punishment. Capital punishment. In India, what is the mode of giving death sentence? What is the mechanism? In India, a person is hanged till death. So hanging is the mechanism. And what is this hanging called as? Judicial hanging. Which leads to fracture of which vertebra? Fracture of C2, C3 vertebra. And what is this fracture called as? This is called as hangman's fracture. Classification of hangman's fracture has been given by which person? It has been given by Levine and Edward. They have classified hangman's fracture. Then another question in judicial hanging is, what is the position of knot in judicial hanging? All time repeat question. Position of knot. Always remember, the position is at left, position of knot of the ligature material. Position of knot is at left angle of mandible. This is your left angle of mandible where my thumb is pointing. This is your right angle of mandible. So this is the position where knot of the ligature will be placed in case of judicial hanging when death sentence is given to a person. Now there is an important term called amnesty in relation to death sentence. What is amnesty? Amnesty is power to grant pardon from death sentence. And who has this power of amnesty in India? This power resides with President of India under which law? Under Article 72 of Constitution. This article gives President the power of amnesty. Power of amnesty also resides with Governor of a state. New thing for you. Under which law? Under Article 161 of Constitution of India. Under Article 161, a governor has the power of amnesty. Then, few important other points regarding amnesty. In case of pregnant females, High Courts, minimum level of court is your High Courts, have the power of either postponing the death sentence, so postponement can be done, at a later date. Postponement of death sentence can be done, or death sentence can be changed by high courts. It can be changed to life imprisonment. The word which is used in law for this word, English word, changed, is commuted. So, death sentence can be commuted to life imprisonment by high courts in case of pregnant females. Under which law? Under 416 CRPC. High courts have the power of postponing the death sentence for a later date, or they can change the death sentence. The judgment varies from case to case. Under which law? 416 CRPC. This is all-time repeat question. What is 416 CRPC? Postponement of execution of death sentence of a pregnant female can be done. Leave aside the thing which is written in books. Nowhere in law it is written that till 6 months after delivery. That is totally wrong concept. What is important is postponement can be done. The time has not been defined in law. Okay. So don't remember that 6 months till 6 months after delivery thing. Okay. Postponement can be done. It can be changed to life imprisonment. Simple. By which courts? High courts. Under which law? 416 CRPC. Okay. Let us now start with your CRPC sections, IPC sections and Indian Evidence Act sections. What are these? What do you mean by IPC? Full form of IPC is Indian Penal Code. These were formed by Britishers in 1860. So what it actually means? IPC means something which defines offences and their punishments. Like, for example, offence of rape is defined in 375 IPC. Punishment of rape is defined in 376 IPC. Likewise, definition of perjury. Perjury is giving false evidence under oath. If someone is giving false evidence under oath, this word is important, under oath, he is committing the offence of perjury, which is defined in 191 IPC, punishment for which is mentioned in 193 IPC. This year All India question. Perjury, punishment for perjury is under which section? Options were 191, 192, 193, 194. Correct answer 193. If they ask definition of perjury, correct answer 191. Okay. Similarly, we have CRPC sections. Full form is Criminal Procedural Code. These were formed in 1861, then they were amended in 1973, and time to time amendments come. In India, if something happens, amendments are done to the laws, like Nirbhaya gang rape case. Changes were made in rape law. After Jammu gang rape case, amendments were again made to rape laws in 2018. So what is Criminal Procedural Code? We are not proactive as far as law changes are concerned. We take some steps when something happens. So CRPC simply means procedures followed after a crime has occurred. All the procedures which are to be followed after a crime has occurred. So who will basically follow the procedures? Your investigating agencies like police or magistrate. They will follow the procedures. So let us take some example. For example, 174 CRPC is your police inquest. Inquest or investigation by police comes under 174. Then you have 176 CRPC, which deals with magisterial inquest. Okay, inquest by a magistrate. For a rape case, what are the CRPC sections? Important one, 53A CRPC, which deals with rape, accused, examination. So if the accused is caught hold of, it is the work of the police to bring the accused for medical examination. Under which law? Under 53A CRPC. If the victim comes to the police station, police will lodge a complaint and then the victim will be taken to the nearest hospital for medical examination. Under which law? 164A CRPC. So this deals with rape, victim examination. And last thing in your law sections or legal sections is Indian Evidence Act sections. Full form is Indian Evidence Act, formed in 1872. These sections were formed by Britishers. All the things, IPC, CRPC and Evidence Act sections were made by Britishers, and we are following the law since 1860s. What do you mean by Evidence Act sections? They define relevance or weightage of an evidence. For example, by the word weightage, we mean which type of evidence has more weightage, oral or documentary? All time repeat question. Oral evidence has got more evidentiary value as compared to documentary evidence. Why? Because in oral evidence, cross-examination is possible. We have read courtroom procedures and recording of evidence. There we have read cross-examination. So cross-examination can be done when oral evidence is being given by a witness. So cross-examination is possible. That's why oral evidence has got more importance than documentary evidence. Then, which sections of Indian Evidence Act defines expert witness? 45. Defines expert witness. 118 section defines your common witness. Okay, this we have read when we have dealt courtroom procedures. Let us now come to the relevant CRPC sections which are asked in your exams. Starting with number 2, 2C CRPC, then we have 2L CRPC. These are subsections C, L, W and lastly X. To remember this, you can remember clean lacerated wound, X shape. These are your 2C, 2L, 2W, 2X CRPCs. C stands for cognizable offense. Cognizable offense. So what are cognizable offenses? Any offenses for which police can arrest a person without warrant from magistrate. So in case of cognizable offenses, police can arrest a person without warrant, without taking any warrant from magistrate. For example, cases of rape and murder. Then you should also remember all grievous hurts. Grievous hurts are defined in 320 IPC. All grievous hurts are cognizable offenses. All grievous hurts defined in 320 IPC. This we will see when we will do the IPC sections. Come to 2L. 2L deals with non-cognizable. Opposite is 2L. Non-cognizable offenses. Here police needs warrant for arrest. Police needs warrant For example, which cases? For example, just remember 5110 IPC. 5110 IPC says misconduct in public by a drunken person is punishable. So it deals with cases of misconduct in public done by a drunken person, a person who has consumed alcohol and doing misconduct in public. So to arrest such a person, police will need warrant from magistrate. This is what we mean by non-cognizable offences. Come to 2W section. 2W section of CRPC defines your summon cases, and 2X defines your warrant cases. So what do you mean by summon case and warrant case? Summon cases are cases, all offences for which punishment is less than or equal to 2 years. All such cases are called summon cases. For example, your AIMS question, it was asked that on provocation, a person suffered some injuries over front of forearm. Injuries were simple in nature. So what will be the punishment to the person? This is your 334 IPC, which deals with voluntarily causing hurt on provocation. So the question was like, a person X on provocation causes injury to someone. Injury was simple bruise over front of forearm. What will be the punishment? Punishment was asked in the exam. So punishment is 1 month imprisonment. 1 month imprisonment plus minus 500 rupees fine. Wherever the punishment is important for you, so all the repeat questions which have been related to your punishments and all the important one which can come in your exams, I will tell you the punishment. Rest in all cases of IPC sections, punishments are not important. I will tell you the important ones. This is very important. This is a repeat question. 334 IPC. So what is 334 IPC? It is actually a summon case, because the punishment here is less than 2 years. Come to warrant cases. Cases for which punishment is more than 2 years are warrant cases. Cases for which punishment is more than 2 years. For example, 335 IPC. This section of law says voluntarily causing grievous hurt on provocation is a punishable offence. And what is the punishment? This is again important because this is related to 334. What is related? Provocation word is there in common. But what is the injury here? Grievous hurt. So what will be the question? Upcoming question like, a person on provocation causes injury to someone over left forearm, and on X-ray, fracture of forearm bone was seen. So causing of fracture or dislocation of any bone or tooth is a grievous hurt. So there the section implied in the FIR will be 335. What will be the punishment? Punishment is 4 years imprisonment plus minus 2000 rupees fine. And if I ask you, this offence or 335 IPC, whether it is a summon case or warrant case, now you can answer, okay, this is a warrant case because the punishment is minimum 4 years. Okay, what is a summon case? Cases for which punishment is less than or equal to 2 years. So this is your first CRPC, which is important. Next is your 61 to 69 CRPC sections. These deal with summon. This was a direct question of your DNB exam. Summons come under which section of law? Correct answer is 61 to 69 CRPC. So summons, what do you mean by summon? Summon is also called as subpoena. And what is the definition? How a summon is defined? It is a document compelling attendance of witness in court of law on a particular date and time. What is the purpose of calling a witness on a particular date and time? Purpose is to give evidence on a particular date and time for giving evidence. So this is your definition of summon. It will be a legal paper. Okay. What are the types of summons? There are two types. One is subpoena duces tecum, and second is subpoena ad testificandum. By the word duces, we mean document. By the word tecum, we mean testimony. By the word testificandum, we mean testimony. So what is absent in ad testificandum? If you receive a summon which is subpoena ad testificandum, it means you just come to the court for giving your testimony. But if you have received subpoena duces tecum, it will be mentioned that please bring a document along with you for the purpose of giving your testimony. Documents like, I am a forensic doctor. If I am called upon a summon, if it is mentioned, please bring the photocopy of post-mortem report along with you. What is the summon type? It is subpoena duces tecum, because what is written is, please bring a document. Which document? Photocopy of post-mortem report. Likewise. Okay. Then what is the order of attending summons? Order of attending summons is important. There are two general rules, important rules. First rule is to be followed first. Higher court first. Higher court first. Then I will see, okay, whether it is a summon from sessions court, magisterial court, or from high court or supreme court. So I will give the importance, first importance to the level of courts. Second thing which I will see will be whether it is a criminal case, like case of murder, the case registered under 302 IPC, or whether it is a civil case, like road traffic accident case. So criminal cases like your murder cases. Civil cases are your road traffic accident cases, RTAs. And in RTA cases, which is the FIR which is filed, if the death of the person has occurred in road traffic accident, one section is very important, that is 304A IPC. This says negligent act to cause death of a person. So all road traffic accidents, mainly they are registered under 304A IPC. These are civil cases. Murder cases are booked under which section? 302 IPC. They are criminal cases. So let us take one question. Suppose I have received two summons. on the same day and same time. Number one is for civil case in high courts, and number two summon is for a criminal case in sessions court. And if I am asked in the NEET exam, which summon you will attend, my correct answer will be, obviously what I will look for, first rule is to be followed first. I will look at the level of courts, okay, high court. In case of similarity, like if I had received, what will be the answer? Answer will be, I will go to this summon, I will attend this summon for a civil case in high court, because first rule is to be followed first. Suppose the question is similar. Number one is civil case in high court, number two is criminal case in high court. There where I will go and attend the summon, I will attend the criminal case first, then I will go to the civil case, civil court, okay. So this is important, remember it. Then regarding summons, one term is there, when a witness attends summon, he is given conduct money. So what do you mean by conduct money? Is also called as diet money. This means travel expenses are paid to witnesses. Travel expenses of witness is given. In which cases? Not in all cases. Only in civil cases. Travel expenses of witness is given. And what is that called as? That is called as conduct money or diet money. Okay. Now, suppose I have received a summon and I am totally busy with my classes. What to do? Suppose I have received summon and on same day I have a class in Mumbai. I cannot attend my summon. I will inform the court that please give some other suitable date. Suppose I could not give the information. What will happen now? In either of the cases, whether I have given the information or not, what will be issued? A re-summon to me. Another date. On another date, I will be called upon on another date and time. Suppose I was too busy, I could not attend re-summon. So if I have not attended summon, what will I receive? A re-summon. Again, I am not able to attend the re-summon date. What will be, what letter I will receive from the court? A notice under 350 CRPC, and it will be asked, please give your valid reason. Please give a reason why you did not attend the previous dates. If I give a valid reason, like I had my brother's marriage, so I could not attend, no punishment. But if I give a invalid reason, that I was in no mood to come at that time, this is an invalid reason. So if I say so, the punishment is 100 rupees fine. Okay. So suppose I have received the notice and I forgot about the notice date and time. I did not go to the court. I did not attend the court. What will happen now? I will receive a bailable warrant from the court mentioning you can pay 4,000, 2,000, 5,000, 10,000 rupees, varies from case to case, the amount. You can pay so much amount and then you will be relieved from the court. Suppose after receiving a bailable warrant, I was too busy in taking classes. I did not attend the bailable warrant also. What will happen now? Now will happen the best thing. The best thing according to me is non-bailable warrant. Get a non-bailable warrant. Why best? Because here it is the policeman's duty to take you to the court. If I have received a non-bailable warrant, the police will not go leaving me. He will bring a vehicle for me. He will take me along with him for attending my summon, for attending my warrant. So I prefer this the most, non-bailable warrants. Okay. This is your, what happens when you don't attend your summons. Last thing is your non-bailable warrant. There you have to attend. Now we have finished 61 to 69 CRPC. Then comes your important one, that is 53A and 164A CRPC. Let us differentiate these CRPC sections. We read earlier 53A deals with, CRPC section deals with rape accused examination. 164A deals with rape victim examination. Everything is mentioned in this CRPC section, how a victim should be examined, who can examine the victim, what precautions are to be taken. Everything is written there in law. So, first important thing is this, the definition. Second is, consent of accused is not must. So, always remember, consent. If the accused says, I don't want to be examined, it's not like you will leave the accused. What is important is, consent is not must. And if the accused is not consenting, you can use minimum reasonable force for examination of the accused. So, minimum reasonable force can be applied. The police has brought the accused for examination, he can apply minimum reasonable force for examination to be done. Under which section? Under 53 subsection 1 CRPC. While in case of victim, consent is must. Consent of victim is must. If the victim says, I don't want to be examined, I don't want my genital examination to be done by the concerned doctor. Which doctor is preferred? First of all, a female doctor is preferred. If the female doctor is not available within 16 kilometers of the radius where that hospital is located, if a female doctor is not available within 16 kilometers, then any registered medical practitioner, be it male or female, be it a male, they can examine the female in the presence of a nursing assistant who is a female. Okay. So, consent of victim is must. If the victim says, I don't want to be examined, you will do something to safeguard yourself. You will take a informed refusal from such victim. You will take a written document from her mentioning that I am refusing for examination, and you will take her sign to safeguard yourself. This is called informed refusal. Okay. Third important point, for rape accused examination, which test can be used? The answer is Lugol's iodine test. This was asked in your exams. What is Lugol's iodine test? What we do during examination of an accused is, we take a white filter paper. White filter paper is applied to penile shaft of the accused. Okay. We apply the white filter paper over penile shaft of the accused. Then this filter paper is exposed to fumes of Lugol's iodine. Fumes of Lugol's iodine. If I get a brown color change, white filter paper turning brown. So, if I get a brown color change, I will say that this test is positive. Brown color change indicates positivity. And why the color change appeared? This was due to presence of female vaginal epithelial cells over the penis of the accused. Epithelial cells. Why female vaginal epithelial cells give a brown color with Lugol's iodine? Because they contain glycogen. This is the reason for test to be positive. But suppose I get a positive Lugol's iodine test. This will give a corroborative evidence. Positive test is corroborative. But negative test does not rule out. Negative test does not mean the accused has not done anything. Negative test does not rule out sexual assault. Why? Because if the accused if he has used any condoms, there will be no female vaginal epithelial cells on the penile shaft. So in such cases, Lugol test, iodine test will be negative, but the sexual assault thing occurred. So that's why this inference. Negative test does not rule out sexual assault. Come to female examination, victim examination. Number 3 important point is, which test or spray or reagent can be used for examination of genitals of a rape victim? Answer is Tolvidine blue. Tolvidine blue test. This is a spray bottle consisting of this thing, toluidine blue. What is the purpose or advantage? It helps in visualization. It helps in visualization of micro injuries, which are smaller, microscopic in size, micro injuries over genitals. It helps in visualization of micro injuries over genitals, like your micro lacerations. I want to confirm whether it is a laceration itself or not. What I will do, I will spray this thing. The margins of the wound will appear irregular after the spray, indicating me, okay, this is a laceration, very small in size. Now for genital examination, other points are in case of female are very important. Let us make a vaginal outlet first, figure of vaginal outlet like this. Vaginal introitus. In the center you will have hymenal opening. So this is your hymen is a mucus fold present at vaginal introitus. So this is your vaginal opening. This thing is your hymenal opening. Size of hymenal opening is less than 10 millimeter in prepubertal females. In prepubertal females, size is less than 10 mm. Now, important questions. After a sexual intercourse, what is the location of tears of hymen? All time repeat question. So, if I get tears of hymen like this, it will be torn and the tears will reach the margins, and if the tears are between 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock position, 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock position, these tears are said to be due to sexual intercourse. Okay. If I get tears red in color between 5 to 7 o'clock, I will give the opinion fresh tears of hymen present. Then if I get tears between 11 to 1 o'clock position and the tears reaching the margins, in a sexual assault the tears reaches the margins. If I get between 11 to 1 o'clock position, these tears are said to be, this was asked in your NEET exam, tears between 11 to 1 o'clock are due to, these are due to masturbation by a female, or fingering. Masturbation, also called as fingering. Okay. Then there is one anatomical variant of hymen. There are 11-12 types of hymen. One of the anatomical variant is called as fimbriated hymen. Fimbriated hymen. Also called as denticular hymen. Denticular hymen. Why this is important? Because fimbriated hymen resembles. It resembles. The anatomical variant is there and it is resembling tears due to sexual intercourse. So these variants will confuse a doctor. So how will the confusion will be cleared? The anatomical variants won't reach the margins. They will be present like this. Okay? They will not reach the margins. This is how, as a doctor, I will differentiate. Okay, this is the anatomical variant. This is not tear actually. If the tears are not reaching the margins. Okay. Then in All India, a question was asked, which instrument is used to visualize hymen and the tears of hymen? Answer is Glaster keen rods. Glaster keen rods are used to visualize hymen and it helps in visualizing the tears also. Glaster keen rod is a bent glass rod thing. Bent glass rod thing like this. Okay. A bent glass rod like this. It is inserted in your vaginal introitus. The area of hymen is clearly visualized when it is opposed over the ends of your bent glass rod tube. These are called Glaster keen rods. Okay. So this finishes your examination of victim and the questions related to it. What is the location of tears due to sexual intercourse? Position is between 5 to 7 o'clock. Okay. If the clock is like this, if the tears are between 5 to 7, okay, these are due to sexual intercourse. What is the most common location? Location is posterolateral aspect. Posterolateral aspect. Okay. So remember this word also, posterolateral aspect.